And that's what I want people to take home is, when I was younger, I used to think like, okay, I have this, there's only one good way to work out. There's only one good way to express my fitness. And this is how you have to do it. This is the most optimal way. This is the best way. And what I've learned over time is my goals change over time. The way I express my fitness changes over time. My needs change over time. And so I used to get caught thinking there's only one way to do everything. But the reality is there's ebbs and flows in the fitness journey. It's not, especially if, we talk about this all the time. If this is something you're going to do the rest of your life, explore different avenues. Have fun with it. I think we get so locked into, well, weight training is the best way to do it, and that's all I have to do. No matter if I'm scared to do it, no matter if I don't like it at all, weight training is the only way. Now, I have my opinions that weight training is valuable and everybody should do it, but it doesn't mean that I can't explore other avenues either. All right, Ty, I want you to take a little trip down memory lane. The first time maybe the first time you stepped into a gym, but the first time you really took on a workout program. Mm-hmm. Take us back to that. What was, paint the picture for us.
Yeah, so freshman year.
High school. Yeah.
Freshman year of high school. In 8th grade, the city I lived, or the high school I went to, had a wrestling coach that did a good job of implementing the elementary schools and junior high and all that, kind of feeding in and kind of getting on the same program. So 8th grade, we kind of dabbled a little bit, but not really. But freshman year was when I was all right, I need to do something here. Mm-hmm. I had just finished wrestling season my freshman year, and I wrestled 160s. And so I was 6'2", 160.
Is that, I forget the context of what freshman year was like. Is 160 big as a freshman? I forget.
I was tall, so yeah, I was tall.
6'2" sounds really tall.
Yeah.
I was 5'6" my freshman year.
Yeah, it was pretty, I was the biggest freshman on the wrestling team at that point. I would say I was one of the bigger kids for sure.
Yeah.
But I was stick. I was a stick. I'll show you. Yeah, I'll show you some pictures. I'll track them down. But wrestling at 160 meant I was 170 and I'd cut to 160. But I just got overpowered. I was a good wrestler, but I just got tossed around. And coming out of wrestling season, and then looking forward to the next football season, I was all right, I got to do something.
So training for you in that time was all about, I got to get stronger.
Yes.
I got to get bigger.
Yes.
Got to get more lead in my pencil, as they say.
That's right. That's right. But oh my gosh, I had no clue. No clue. I was so lost.
Yeah. How were your coaches at that time? Or the people that were guiding you through the workouts?
So it was at the time the varsity D-line coach, who would eventually be my head coach. Loved him, but it was old school. We had bench squat cleans written on a card, and it was literally the same workout. It was 8-6, 4-4 failure 10. For every single workout, it was the exact same, and you would just change the numbers every time you would hit that on your failure set. If you got 4, then you would go up, and that was it.
Right.
That was kind of the guidance. He'd write the workout down, but it was, and I love him, and he's one of my favorite coaches of all time. But I don't think knowledge was really there.
Right.
So form, technique, equipment.
What's that?
Yeah,
what language are you speaking?
I know. It was all about. It was the cleans where you wouldn't even rack it. You would just.
Oh yeah. Just
get the momentum, and dude, it was. And squats had nothing to do with parallel. It was how wide you could get it was just bad. It was really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was your first experience with training, physical fitness. First real experience, I guess.
Yeah.
And your goals, like you said, your goals were strength, size.
Yeah.
How did that evolve? How did your goals evolve either through high school? Maybe they didn't change till college. What was the evolution there?
Yeah, and I kind of bag on the technique and all that, and bag on the sophistication of it, but it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, in like 18 months, I guess, I went from like 170 pounds to 220 pounds.
Dang.
And so it worked.
So you were how old?
As junior.
As a junior, you were 6'2".
Junior year, I played. I moved full time to defense, and I was still playing quarterback too. Full time to defense. I played my junior year at 220.
6'2", 220 as a junior.
As a junior,
that's a stout dude.
Yeah. And so, and then just it was really still about strength. And I mean, I was very, very superficial too. So it was also like I still wanted to look good.
There you go.
Right?
There you go.
And
that's what I'm getting at.
I wore the. I should have wore probably a large, extra large, but I was wearing small and medium Hurley shirts. With the puka shells.
What are your puka shells, choker or a little loose?
Not loose. I mean, it lined my neckline. It sat right on the neckline of the Hurley shirt.
Your arteries were being clogged a little bit by that.
And then like having gone through puberty, like so sweaty pits all day long, just extra tight shirts. But hey, I was filling them out.
So it started with, I want to get bigger and stronger for sports. Then it evolved to, well, now I still want to get bigger and stronger, but now I want to look good.
Yeah.
And then what was the next step, whether in college or after?
Yeah, I would say going into my senior year, I was like hyper focused on appearance. Went on my senior trip. And following wrestling season, so March to June, literally I was working out probably 6 hours a day.
Jeez.
Also I knew I was going to Fresno State, so it was like, all right, that's part of it. But like the after school workouts, I had weightlifting during the day, and then I would work out right after school, and then I'd go to the gym at night, like for 3.5 months, me and my buddy. And the last workout that night was all for show. But then when it really took a turn was when I got into college. I had a strength coach that probably wasn't any more sophisticated than the high school coach I just mentioned. It was all about numbers, and it was all about maxing, and it was all about squatting deep, go heavy, pulling is life. It was a really bad system. But what saved me was a guy named Moses Cabrera. Moses now currently is the head strength coach for the New England Patriots and has been there for a number of years. And he was a student of lifting, of fitness, just overall. And it was the first time in my life I realized how important nutrition was, how important technique was, how important patience was, like the fine details. So he took a group of us, there was like 6 of us, that were allowed to just literally not even follow the regular program. And all we did was lifts with him. And it was like very, very, very technical. But that was when I learned that like weight training wasn't just for looks and strength. It translated to mobility. It translated to explosiveness. It just translated to a bunch of different things.
Yeah. So, okay. So in that short, 4-8 year time period, you've evolved now.
Yeah, it's like 5 years. Yeah.
5 years. You've now evolved 3 different times in those 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the next evolution of your fitness?
Yeah. Then it was post, and that was a lot of Olympic lifts, a lot of Olympic lifts, a lot of core. Then you get into the next phase, and the next phase for me was like NFL, like pro day training, and that was just different.
Yep.
It wasn't as much of a load. Now it was, okay, how does lifting translate to conditioning? How does it translate to stamina? How does it translate to speed? And so now, first time I'm implementing like pool workouts. I'm implementing like higher repetition, like endurance type lifts. And then it wasn't like, hey, focus on this one lift. Now I'm supersetting. Now Now I'm like focusing on complementary, not just doing full body workouts every day. Now it's like complementary lifts. So like on chest, you're supplementing back, right? And it was just it was a more focused on performance and like 100% like how fast can you run a 40, how fast can you run a shuttle, how high can you jump, and then now can you go move on the field. And so that was and I used that really for the first 6 years or so after college, which was when I was out, and I did a lot more running too. That was where like the speed training, the cardio, that really picked up, and I used that for the first 5 to 6 years after college. And then as I went later on in my career, I kind of adjusted again, and that was okay. Hey, I'm a little bit older. I've got to be a little more conscious of how I'm moving, how much energy I'm expending, and like, all right, now I'm in a position where I do need more power. Like it was great to be in good shape and good condition, but now when I'm going and kicking out a 300-pound defensive end, I need to be able to move him, and I need to be able to like provide some power. So I went back to a power type of program for the last like 4 years of my career.
Yeah, and then you retire, and then you transition into civilian life.
Oh yeah, dude. And then I transitioned to elliptical machine with like short shorts, tank tops, and a headband.
What were your first like fitness sessions like though when you were done?
I went back to kind of the functional stuff. Because I said, I'm never going to back squat again. I'm never going to power clean again.
Yep.
I'm never going to do any of these. Phase. I'm never going to do any of these. Like, I just want to look good. So I was 100% on workouts that translated to appearance. Which lasted about a year.
Yeah.
And then
you took some time off.
Yeah. And then I was sporadic, and then it was still appearance, but it was like once, twice a month I'd get in. And then I'd have like a week where I was good, and then I wouldn't go for 2 weeks. And, we talked about it, but it was very much appearance. And when you're married and you have kids and, you're starting a new career, appearance in motivation, although that was my motivation, order of importance, it slid down.
Right. And now you're in more of a functional type approach.
You're
trying to do movements that translate to your everyday life.
Yep. Exactly.
And you're doing that through CrossFit, but the overall methodology is
whether it's that
athletic mobility.
Exactly.
Still want to look good. Obviously, everybody wants to look good naked, but your goals have changed a little bit, and the way you approach those goals have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the take-home point that I wanted to nail down is we just went through very briefly your entire fitness journey, and your goals changed 4, 5, 6 different times over the last 15 years, 20 years or so.
20 years, yeah.
And that's what I want people to take home is, when I was younger, I used to think like, okay, I have this, there's only one good way to work out. There's only one good way to express my fitness. And this is how you have to do it. This is the most optimal way. This is the best way. And what I've learned over time is my goals change over time. The way I express my fitness changes over time. My needs change over time. And so I used to get caught thinking there's only one way to do everything. But the reality is there's ebbs and flows in the fitness journey. It's not, especially if, we talk about this all the time. If this is something you're going to do the rest of your life, explore different avenues. Have fun with it. I think we get so locked into, well, weight training is the best way to do it, and that's all I have to do. No matter if I'm scared to do it, no matter if I don't like it at all, weight training is the only way. Now, I have my opinions that weight training is valuable and everybody should do it, but it doesn't mean that I can't explore other avenues either, or as well. I've done yoga in my life. I've done Pilates workouts. I've done group fitness. I've done boot camp. I've tried every single form of fitness almost imaginable, except for like Orange Theory. I haven't done that yet. But
yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
But it's because I've come to the realization that there is no one certain way to get there. It's what do I enjoy? What am I seeing results from? And what can I stick to?
Yeah.
That's really all that matters.
Yeah.
And we get in these little, it's almost like the tribalism even bleeds over into fitness. It's like,
100%.
well, you're doing CrossFit, that means you know, whatever. And if you don't do weight training, that means you're weak. And if you don't do yoga, that means you
stiff.
Right. We just get all these super, you know, narrow-minded mentality on fitness. And it's like, it changes so much throughout your life.
Isn't that like such a good depiction of really kind of where we're at in the country too? It's like whatever side you're on at that moment is like the only right side.
Right.
Like without even looking at other things. And how often do we switch our perspectives? Like how often do we like change how we think, and you learn something different, or you're exposed to something, and typically it's like somebody you trust who maybe has made the move, then you're like, oh, maybe now I'll try it.
Yep.
I mean, I can't tell you how many people like, and talk about fitness, like I was on the other side of the aisle from CrossFit. And then my wife tried it and she loved it. And I'm like, all right, maybe it's worth giving it a try. So then I tried it. And then multiple people that I've told, like, hey, you know, I do it. Because of course, like, you know, you don't do CrossFit unless you talk about CrossFit. I mean, that's the rule, right? So, but like talking about like what it's done with me, and then now like people that used to hate on CrossFit just like I did, now absolutely love it. Yeah. But then there's also some people that have tried it and be like, not really for me. Like I actually really do enjoy running, and that's what they can be consistent with. But it's like, it's such in fitness, like the tribalism, it's like, oh, no. It's bodybuilding. That's the only thing that like you actually see results, you know, because if you increase muscle mass, you reduce body fat, and it's like, okay, yeah, there's truth to that. But like, if you can't stick to something, you're doing it just because somebody tells you that it's right. If you can't stick to it, it doesn't matter, because that's not right for you in that phase of your life. Right. So it's not something you can sustain. It's not something you're ever going to see results with. And that's where I was at. It was like, I kind of went to that bodybuilding deal after I retired. It was all just like physical appearance, but I didn't have the mentality of like, hey, I really truly want to track my progress. I want to track my strength. I want to track my nutrition. Like in order for bodybuilding to actually be effective, like those are all things that like need to motivate you. And it didn't for me. Yep. And what finally clicked was community and competition. Like those are the two things that like clicked for me in my fitness, in like taking the turn, and that's what works. And then with that, nutrition has bled over. Recovery has been a big part of it, which brings us to my next point. And we've got to thank, you know, our partner, Sleep Number. For sure. Because that was a big part of our recovery. And, you know, the Sleep Number 360 bed has been a game changer for Tiffany and I, and just our recovery, because now in the evenings we look forward to going to bed. We look forward to getting in. Now it's not like, hey, I'm laying out on the couch and I'm gonna watch TV until I get tired, and I'm gonna go to bed at 11:30, 12 o'clock. Now it's like kids go down, we have like actual adult conversations, we get stuff ready for the next day, and then it's like boom, bedtime, like 9 o'clock, we're in bed. And thanks to Sleep Number and the Sleep Number 360 bed, we now, like, that is a big part of our routine, and we get to track it on the app. And I mean, we were just with a bunch of groups, a bunch of NFL players and former players this last week, and like all of them, like same deal. It's like, man, this has been a game changer in our family. But like on my journey, CrossFit is the avenue that was right for me at that time, and is right now in my life. And again, it bled over into all of the supplemental deals, including recovery, which I overlooked even through my playing career. And I look back, and if I had a Sleep Number 360 bed when I was playing, I just wonder. Yeah. It's coulda, shoulda, woulda, but like, I really wonder what it would have been like. Yeah. And I'd have been this aware of recovery. Right.
Oh, and that's where I am now. And again, I think just as you evolve, as you get older, as things change, that's where I am right now, is movements that are going to translate to my everyday life, but then the recovery aspect and injury prevention. Yeah. That's huge for me right now. Yeah. I don't want to have, debilitating knee injuries or low back injuries like a lot of people. I want to be able to move. I want to be able to squat down and pick up my boys and throw them around. I want to be able to live my life in a way that's healthy, that's pain-free. That's what my goals are currently. But, I mean, as recently as a few months ago, for years I'd been more of a bodybuilder type phase. which at the time was great. But it, looking back on it now, it wasn't the most functional. And it was, super strict movements and, really concentrating on muscle contraction. It was great. It was fine. I loved it. But now my goals have evolved because my priorities have evolved.
Yep.
And so that's my hope and my encouragement is, when you're beginning your fitness journey or if you're in the middle of your fitness journey, things change and that's okay.
Yeah.
Your goals are going to evolve because if this is something you're going to do the rest of your life, it's more than likely you're not going to stick to one.
Yeah.
And if you are sticking to one, that means you're deficient in other areas.
Yeah.
So if you're only doing bodybuilding from now, if that makes you happy and that's what you want to do, go for it. By all means, do it.
Yeah.
But just understand you're sacrificing in other ways.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was so closed-minded early on in my fitness journey was that there's only one way to do it, the best way to do it, the most optimal way, and that's all I've got to stick to.
Yeah.
When in reality is there's so many different ways that you can do this.
And we discussed this. A couple of weeks ago, we played softball. And even as much as I love CrossFit right now, and I feel like it's super functional and it like applies to a lot of things, like your point of like you could possibly be deficient in other areas if you're only doing one thing and that's all you stick with for, your entire journey. And playing softball, like swinging a bat, there's a rotation that was a movement that I have not done in a while. And like I tweaked my like ribs, like back and ribs. And it was interesting because it was like, man, I thought like I'm doing a wide range of movements, but I'm like, I don't do any rotation.
Yeah.
Like no rotation at all. And so again, being conscious of that and saying, okay, hey, this is the phase. If I golf a lot or if I'm playing softball or if I'm doing things like rotational like flexibility and rotational strength is important. And again, whatever applies to you in that point in your life, like, yeah, maybe it's flexibility. Like it's just something that I really need. So like yoga needs to be a supplement to what I do and adding things in and understanding that like, I don't have to be all in on one thing all the time. I mean, you want to be, but like, that doesn't mean you can't, sprinkle a little Orange Theory or sprinkle a little marathon training or sprinkle a little yoga or sprinkle a little bar class, whatever it is. Like just be aware of your body and what you're needing for that immediate phase. So like for me now, it's like, okay, I'm taking extra time after every single class, and I'm doing rotational work just because I know that that's a deficiency of mine.
Yeah. Well, and on that point, I mean, most strength training programs are deficient in rotational strength, which is interesting because life is lived three-dimensionally.
Yeah.
We do so many things in a three-dimensional, motion, and yet when we go to the gym, everything's front and back.
Yeah.
And so you're right, you're leaving some things on the table.
Yeah.
But I just don't want people to get so locked in and so rigid in their thinking that they forget that the fitness should enhance your life. It shouldn't be another stress that you add. Shouldn't be another thing that you worry about. It should be something that enhances your day.
Yeah.
So be open to all different ways to express that fitness.
Yeah.
I want to be the most well-rounded, like we talked about last week. If you were to ask me, hey, Ben, we're going to go hunting in the mountains this weekend, I'm ready to go. I want to be ready for anything.
Yep.
That's my current phase of life. So I want to be flexible. I want to be pain-free. I want to be strong. I want to have a great endurance. Those are all the things that are important to me right now. Those weren't important to me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but that's okay. That's where the evolution happens, and it just slowly evolves, slowly changes. It's kind of like a flowing river. It's just slowly going to take you, different places, and be open to that.
Yeah.
Don't just be so stuck in one certain way.
And have humility too, because like, be open to trying something new. Be open to sucking at something.
Yep.
Because anytime that you try something, and don't be afraid to start something just because you know you're going to be bad at it. Because anybody that tries anything for the first time is not going to be good at it.
Right.
Is not going to be where they're at when they spend time refining it, mastering it, and where they're going to be on the other side. So like, approach it with humility too. Don't be afraid to look like an idiot in the gym, unless you're doing like. The guy. Really bad. I'm not gonna. I really don't want to because he's in there doing something. But like, I was out of town last week, and they opened up this like local gym. It was like a Y or something like that. It was actually a nice little workout place. And I wish that I had my phone on me, but I was like in the middle of this like workout, so it was like it was on the floor and it was a little ways away from me. but it was one of those like gym videos that like
Gym fail.
Like a gym fail.
Yeah.
Man, like this dude was on a rowing machine, and I just could. It was literally one of those deals. Like, what are you doing?
And in his mind, he's like,
I'm crushing
he's
it.
Olympic rower.
Yeah, I'm crushing it. But I'm like, what is going on? So like, don't just go in and check a box. Like, just do a little bit of research on like how you're supposed to do something. Look, he's in there. Whatever movement he was doing was definitely burning more calories than sitting on the couch. So I'm gonna commend you there.
Yeah.
But just maybe watch somebody that did it right before you.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you. And I worked in the gym industry for 5 years, and I saw a lot. There was quite a bit that I saw.
And why is it usually men over their 60s?
Yeah, and I don't want to discourage, because you hear that and you're like, well, shoot, I'm not going to go to the gym. I don't know what I'm doing.
Don't be afraid to look like Jim Bob did.
But I think, and we've said it 100 times, and we'll continue saying it because we're the biggest fitness disciples there are. We're spreading the good news of fitness.
Yep.
You've said 3 or 4, 5 different points that translate to everything you do in the everyday life. Go try something new. Have humility when you're approaching things. Don't be afraid of change. Yeah. The gym and fitness are such microcosms of everything. You can learn in a controlled environment so many great lessons. And that's why we're such big advocates of fitness, because it can teach you so many good things if you're open to it. And so the take-home message for me here is just be open.
Yeah.
Don't be so closed-minded like I used to be. Don't be so narrow-focused on, well, this is the best way to do it. This is the only way to do it. Open your mind. Broaden your horizon. Be good with trying new things.
Yeah.
And your fitness journey is going to go a lot smoother. You're going to get a lot better results because you're enjoying it a lot more. And it's just going to be a lot better experience.
I mean, who knows, Ben? Like, we may be doing a show 3-4 years from now, and like we exclusively do infrared aerial hot yoga. Like exclusively. So you never know what phase of life.
I think I'll be doing bar fitness at that point.
Hey, why not? The reason I said that gym had an aerial infrared hot yoga class.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, like you hang on a bunch of sashes and do yoga while you're hanging.
Really?
Yeah, apparently it's a thing.
Hey, I'm open to try. I'm open to anything once.
Yeah.
Anyway, hopefully that was encouraging. Be open to things. That's the take-home point. Short and sweet today, but that was just something on my mind that I used to be too rigid in my thinking early on. Yeah. And I wish I'd been more open-minded early on.
Yeah. If you're struggling like with motivation, with consistency, and you're like, I think you do have to back up and you have to say, okay, what are my goals? Like really, truly, what am I trying to accomplish? And see if the routine that you're trying to follow actually fits those goals. And if it does, figure out a way to tweak it so the motivation is there so that you can actually be consistent. And if it doesn't meet those goals, go try to find something else. Mm-hmm. If your goals are, hey, I want a community to work out with. Like I want the camaraderie of it. Okay, hey, then maybe CrossFit, maybe group fitness, maybe HIIT classes, Orange Theory, whatever it is, like something like that, F45. I mean, there's so many things out there. Like try to find community. If you're wanting functional, like go do some research, figure out what it is and change it up. Don't think that, hey, I'm on the elliptical and I'm on the bike and I'm going to go do some shoulder raises and some curls. And that's what I do every day. Like that's really hard to sustain.
Yeah.
Like mix it up.
Yeah. No. And one final point on that. Don't mix it up with, I'm going to do something different every single week.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump from one program to another program. I'm going to jump from one way of fitness to another way of fitness. You need to stick to something long enough to see the result of it. But the point is, we're talking years. We're not talking weeks here. If maybe 1 to 2 years you focus on this way and maybe another 2 years you go on. And maybe it's not even that rigid, right? It's just over time your desires evolve. Yeah. But just don't constantly switch it up either.
Think of it.
There's a balance there.
Think of it as like a home, right? Like as your family dynamic changes and needs change, your requirements for a home change. Mm-hmm. So you may start in a starter home, and then you may be in a transitional home, and then you may be in your family home, and then your kids move out. Now you're in an empty nester home, and then you're in I'm not like retirement home, but like your needs change.
For sure.
And so does your fitness journey. And it's just based on whatever phase of life you're in and what your goals are.
That's right. All right. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please help us out by sharing the podcast, subscribe, rate 5 stars on whatever platform that you're listening on. Follow us on Instagram. We're at one.shot.pod. These are all ways you can support this podcast, and we really appreciate you guys for listening. Hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we will see you tomorrow.